let's go right ahead and get into this first segment, which is talking about Klay Thompson making his debut in a Mavericks jersey. Obviously, there was a lot of scrutiny coming in from Klay Thompson well before the season even started, primarily because of how he ended the season, going, I believe, 0 for 10 in an elimination game against the Kings. And a lot of people considering, and seeing the season that Klay Thompson had with the Golden State Warriors last year, a lot of people started to assume that Klay Thompson was on the decline and that his style of play, well, not his style of play, but that his three-point shooting was going to waver and ultimately become useless for the Golden State Warriors. And to that, I was very shocked at how negative, the feedback was with Klay Thompson. Like, throughout the entirety of the offseason, all you could see was, remember, Klay Thompson went 0 for 10. Remember, Klay Thompson went over 5. And we got Corrido in the chat already speaking. So, his top 5 teams in the West: OKC, the Warriors, the Lakers, the Mavs, and the Suns. I'm not sure if you're talking about right now, because if you are talking about right now just based off of one game, then I guess, but at the end of the day, I don't see the Warriors being top 2 whatsoever, or like even top 3, not even top 3, top 10 in the Western Conference when it's all said and done. I don't see that happening, but if we're talking now in hindsight, then yeah, that's like really the only time they're going to be in the top 10 in the Western Conference. But aside from that, Klay Thompson, he did make his Mavericks debut, and I don't want to say that he put all the criticism to rest with just one performance, but he has shown that he's still the straight shooter that he is and that everyone knows he can be. Because despite that 0 for 10 elimination game performance, Klay Thompson still shot last season a respectable, I want to say maybe 37, maybe even 39% from 3. Like, it wasn't the same, efficiency that we're used to seeing Klay Thompson shoot the 3 ball, but it was still a rather respectable. And on top of that, there's also the increase in shot attempts when he was on the Warriors, because the Warriors just weren't all that good last season. So that's also plays a part in it. But in this game, Klay Thompson ended with 22 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, and he shot 6 for 10 from the 3-point line. Now, this 6 for 10 performance coming in from Klay Thompson, this ended up being the most 3-pointers ever recorded in a Mavericks player's debut. 6 3-pointers, and he already broke that Mavericks milestone, and it's only game 1. And excuse me. So I don't really, again, I don't. I'm not. It's too early to tell whether or not this is going to translate throughout the entirety of the season. But I will say that a lot of people were really making out that Klay Thompson was a lesser version of himself, which he technically is. But I feel like he's lesser just on the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, he's still Klay Thompson. He is still a very viable threat outside the arc that you have to pay attention to. Luka Doncic, when Klay Thompson was wide open for 3, Luka literally turned around and knew that the shot was going in. It was like a LeBron and Kyrie moment when LeBron was on the Cavs. Like, Kyrie was taking a 3 and LeBron was just like, "Yep, it's going in." Like, it was one of those moments. But it's like that's just how good Klay Thompson is on offense. And Corrido's in the chat saying, I think a lot of people are going to eat crow, whatever that means, with Klay Thompson is washed or cooked, because I said all time last year Klay Thompson had a bad year with a roster with players that don't fit Kerr's system. And I don't want to say it's the system that really had an effect on Klay Thompson, because, again, Klay Thompson's job in that system is just shoot the 3. And I do understand he was forced to take some other unconventional shots in that in some of the games on offense that he's not really used to taking. But at the end of the day, he's still Klay Thompson, and shooters have to shoot. You sometimes have good games, you sometimes have bad games. It's just more often than not he would get highlighted for a lot of the bad games that he had, which was rather unfair in my opinion. Because again, like I said, shooters shoot. And you can have a good night, you can have a bad night, but one bad night should not be the end-all, be-all. I understand that one night when he went 0 for 10 was a really, really bad performance. In fact, one of the worst elimination game Klay performances I've ever seen in my life. But still, it should not be the end-all, be-all. Carrito is also saying everyone has bad season from time to time in their career. Klay Thompson has 2 good seasons before last season, and so bad season was coming, is what he was saying. I sort of get that, but at this age in his career, regarding injuries and whatnot, and again, just being old in general, or older than the average player in the NBA, it's like a lot of people were starting to expect a decline. Not to mention his signature, I have 4 rings, how many do you have comments are also getting a lot of backlash, and probably one of the bigger reasons why some of the fans don't really like Klay Thompson, because he keeps going back to those 4 championships that he ended up winning, which is living in the past and not living in the now, which I get that side of the argument, but at the end of the day, you can't change history. He was a big part of history, whether it was a bad part of history in basketball, I think it was, but regardless, he still has 4 championships, and there aren't many players that can really come back against that argument, saying that he has, when he puts up the 4 rings that he has. It's really difficult argument to make. But on the game itself, Luka Doncic ended up scoring 28 points and getting 10 rebounds, 8 assists, almost a triple-double. He also recorded 1 steal and a block. And he didn't really shoot that efficiently, 9 for 25 from the field, but 4 for 11 from 3. And this isn't really like a shocker for Luka Doncic. I mean, he has, from time to time, he doesn't really put up efficient shooting numbers, but regardless, he still is Luka Doncic, and he still is something that you should be afraid of. Kyrie Irving in this game was really inefficient. He went 6 for 17 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. Ended the game with 15 points, but again, not a signature Kyrie performance that a lot of people expected. He did record 3 rebounds, 2 assists, along with 2 steals and a block as well. But still, 15 points coming in from Kyrie Irving is rather underwhelming. But again, this is why they have the shooter Klay Thompson, and how they this is sort of what you expect when you come out of Klay Thompson. Carrito's still in the chat saying, plus Mike, the Warriors GM, has been wanting to start rebuilding and trade away Curry and others for 2 seasons now. And I don't know if that's what he wants to do. Again, not entirely sure. I'm not a GM, and I'm not in the office and where they make those decisions. So, but I do understand the thought process of trying to rebuild and maybe wanting to get rid of Curry. But again, I'm not sure how many people are going to be willing to pay Steph Curry all of that money, considering the new second apron rule, and to pair him up in a solid situation. I don't know how that's going to work. So I think they're kind of stuck. But again, those are my thoughts on that situation. Now, in the way that the Spurs ended up playing in this game, Harrison Barnes ended up scoring 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and he ended up shooting 7 for 10 from the field, so very, very efficient. The big reason as to why the Spurs ended up losing in this game is surprisingly Victor Wembanyama. Now, he ended the game with 17 points, 9 rebounds, sure, but he ended up shooting 5 for 18 from the field. Now, and also 1 of 8 from 3. In my opinion, Victor has got to chill out with the 3-pointers that he makes. That was sort of a thought process that I had last season, but it was his rookie year, so I wanted to give him a pass. But at the end of the day, now that this is the second season that he's in, I feel like Victor needs to tone down the 3-point shot attempts just a little bit. I mean, he is so ridiculously tall that he can score very efficiently inside the arc. I think he should try focusing some more on that, more than trying to be a perimeter threat outside of the arc, at least for the time being. Because again, taking 8 3-pointers, only making 1 of them is not ideal. But then again, I don't think the rest of the team ended up shooting all that well either. but Victor should be more focused on working inside of the arc, like Kevin Durant, right? I mean, KD, we know how good Kevin Durant's mid-range is, and we understand that he can shoot over most defenders in the NBA now. So if Victor can essentially do that and work on that, then he can work his way up into taking a lot of three-pointers. Because again, there are some games where Kevin Durant doesn't really take that many three-pointers. And he tries to work from inside the arc, getting close to the basket, or as close to the basket as he can, and then pulling up for the mid-range. I feel like Victor should try and do that a little bit more than he should shooting the three, but I digress. Let's see. Who else played well? Jeremy Sochan ended up going 6 for 11 from the field with 18 points, and Julian Champagne ended up scoring 18 points, 7 for 12 from the field. Chris Paul was also a little bit mediocre on the offensive side of the ball. He ended up going 1 for 6 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3 with 3 points, but he did end up recording 8 assists as well as 7 rebounds. But we will have to see how the season goes. Corrido's still in the chat. People tell me I am too soft on players or call me a snowflake with my way of thinking. Victor might be a little too aggressive on offense, but CP3 and Greg Popovich will help Victor find a balance. I don't think there's a problem with Victor trying to be aggressive on offense at all. I really don't. It's just the attempts and what he takes on offense needs a little bit of work, in my opinion. Like I said before, I would much rather he tries to work from inside the arc to start off and then work his way up to shooting those three-pointers, because when you see the ball go in, it does something to basketball players. Like, when you see the ball go in a couple times, then they can get into a rhythm, and then they can do inhumane things at some times, especially in this league right now with how it's shaped up. But I don't think there's a problem with Victor being aggressive. In fact, I want him to take a lot of shots. It's just the type of shots that he's taking needs some work. That's really it. So that's all that I have on this first segment. So now I'm going to go ahead and go into the second segment, talking about the Thunder and the Denver Nuggets game and how the Thunder ended up winning in spectacular fashion against what I thought was going to still be the best team in the Western Conference. So I'll be right back after this short break.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the